this message is for you. If you at any point have ever either created a New Year's resolution, broken a New Year's resolution, gotten frustrated because you find yourself year after year making the same New Year's resolutions, and you want to create a shift, you want things to change. And so I'm going to share some things with you tonight that I believe is going to create a little shift for you and get you to start thinking about things a little differently. And so I'm going to say something a little radical. And here's what I want to start off by telling you is, listen, no more resolutions. That's right, I said it. No more resolutions. Stop making these New Year's resolutions. And you're saying, well, Andy, why should I stop making New Year's resolutions? I'm going to tell you this. Why? Because most of the time it doesn't work. I mean, the statistics just prove it. Listen, the majority of people at the beginning of the year, they're going to start coming up with all these amazing New Year's resolutions. They're going to say, you know what? This is going to be the year that I finally lose the weight. This is going to be the year that I finally start the business. This is going to be the year that I become debt free. This is going to be the year that I hit a certain income threshold. And most of the people who make that New Year's resolution, unfortunately, are not going to follow that with consistent action to produce true results. And what they end up doing oftentimes is really setting themselves up for failure. And so what I'm asking you to do is not to want change. It's not to want more for your life, not to create amazing things in this particular year. But what I want you to do is start creating a shift in your mindset and stop getting caught up in just making regular New Year's resolutions, the same old New Year's resolutions that you made a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and you keep rolling every single year. You know what I'm talking about. You said long time ago that you were not going to eat any more junk food. You said long time ago that you were going to give up pizza. You said long time ago that you were going to start working out every single day. You said long time ago that literally that from this point on that you're going to spend a certain amount of time with your family and your friends and all this stuff. And you had the best intentions. You had the absolute best intentions. But unfortunately, year after year, what you find is that you've broken those resolutions. And if that's you, don't feel bad. Listen, I fall in that category too. You're not the only one. As a matter of fact, listen, it was a review, an actual study done by the US News. And here's what they determined, that literally 80% of people by literally the second week in February would have literally already failed on their New Year's resolution. In other words, they would have already broken their New Year's resolutions. So there has got to be a better way. And so the first thing I want to tell you is no more resolutions, no more resolutions. Do me a quick favor. For those of you tuning in right now on the live stream, go ahead in the comment section, put hashtag no more, hashtag no more. Listen, we're going to boycott resolutions. I know everybody else is doing it. Let everybody else go ahead and do their New Year's resolutions. We're going to do something a little differently. We're going to find another way to sort of set ourselves up for success. So do me a quick favor. Go ahead in the comment section, put no more as in no more resolutions. It's time to go ahead and just sort of break that whole ritual of setting New Year's resolutions every single year that the majority of us, I know that there's the exception to the rule, but the majority of us end up breaking those New Year's resolutions. And so we want to set ourselves up for success, and we want to find a way to do things a little bit differently this year. And one of the ways that we're going to do it a little differently is we are going to avoid making New Year's resolutions. Now, here's what I want you to understand. And it's really important that, first of all, we understand what the definition of a resolution is. Here's what I want you to know. Here's a very simple definition of what a resolution is. A resolution is nothing more than you just simply making a decision. All right. And so when you say I resolve to do something, you're basically making a firm decision that you're going to do something. And so that's what a resolution is. So when somebody says that, you know, my New Year's resolution is that I'm going to get out of debt, they are just resolving, making a decision to get out of debt. When they say that my New Year's resolution is to literally lose weight, they're just making a decision to lose weight. Well, listen, here's what I want you to understand. Here's what I need you to get. Just simply making a decision is not enough. Here's what I want you to completely realize. A decision without any consistent action is a setup for failure. Get this, a decision, you making a decision and not backing it up with any consistent action is literally just a setup for failure. And so that is why I told you hashtag no more. In other words, we're going to do something different. Hey, one of my mentors told me a long time ago, if you want to get some different results, then you need to be able and willing to do something that you have never done before. So in other words, in order to get something that you've never gotten before, you have to be willing to do something that you have never done before. Les Brown used to say that all the time. And here's what I need you to get. I need you to get. You've probably made some New Year's resolutions in the past. And if we were honest, I got to ask you, how did that work out for you? For most of us, that didn't quite work out so well. In other words, we made the New Year's resolutions. We were fired up. We took out our piece of paper. We wrote down all the things that we wanted to do. We said to ourselves, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out of there. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to spend more time with my family. I'm going to take this much time off. I'm going to take vacations. I'm going to do this. And unfortunately, the year began, something happened, and slowly but surely, we did something to break that New Year's resolution. And so there has got to be a better way. And so I want to point out just a couple things as to why oftentimes New Year's resolutions do not seem to work. So one of the reasons why New Year's resolutions don't necessarily work for a lot of people is because oftentimes, here's what we do. We tend to deal in absolutes. We tend to deal in making statements like every day. We tend to deal with making statements like always. And so, in other words, let me give you a little quick example. Somebody started off this year saying that part of their New Year's resolution is that they are going to go to the gym every single day. They're going to go to the gym. Somebody went ahead and made a New Year's resolution saying that every single day they're going to speak to at least 10 prospects. Somebody made a New Year's resolution saying that every single day that they're going to sit down at the dinner table and eat dinner with their family. Listen, that's awesome. And I understand you've got some great intentions about that. And I know that you really, truly mean it. But here's what I want you to understand. When you deal in absolutes, when you use phrases like absolutely every single day and always, unfortunately, things don't seem to work out like that in real life. You see, here's what tends to happen in real life. Things begin to happen that are completely outside of your control. And so I just think about this. It's real funny because just recently, I'm really adamant about going to a particular workout called Orange Fitness. And one of the things that I try to be consistent about is just making sure that I go at least 3 times a day. Now, here's what I want you to understand. There's some people who are part of Orange Theory that literally go to Orange Theory every single day. And here's what I need you to understand, though. Even those people who made the decision that they wanted to go every single day, there's a couple things that happened that were outside of our control. Like, for instance, our particular gym decided to do renovations. And so they literally shut down our particular studio for 4 days so that they could do renovations. That was completely outside of our control. So I want you to picture the person who said to themselves that every single day, no matter what, I'm going to go do my Orange Theory workout. And so guess what? Their studio shuts down for a couple of days and they can't. They've already broken their resolution. I can tell you this. Also, for some of you know that right now we're dealing with some crazy weather across the world. There's some crazy weather right now, some blistering cold weather. There are many things that are being shut down because it's so cold right now. Imagine that person who says, every single day, no matter what, I'm going to do my Orange Theory workout, whatever that thing might be. In other words, something may appear, something may pop up that doesn't allow you to do the thing that you said that you're going to do every single day. And so here's what I need you to understand. When you do that, you are setting yourself up for failure. Because as soon as you compromise one of those statements that you are going to do it every single day, that you are always going to do it, once you start dealing in the absolutes, it's only a matter of time before the life and before something happens, a set of circumstances causes you to break that thing that you intended to do. And in that moment, you already have broken your New Year's resolution. You get that? And so what I want you to do is I want you to stop setting yourself up for failure. And so I want you to start positioning yourself a little differently and don't deal in the absolutes. If you are going to set a goal rather than just a resolution, and I like to set goals because oftentimes you can support goals by following through with action as opposed to a resolution, which is nothing more than simply making a decision. If you are going to do it, make sure that it's something that you can actually do. So one of the things that you want to be careful about is you want to release all the absolutes, release the everydays, release the always in your statements. So go ahead and do me a favor right now in the comment section, put hashtag release, because I need you to release those absolutes, because that is going to literally help you from putting yourself in a position where you are literally going to set yourself up to break your New Year's resolution. And remember, we're trying to avoid making New Year's resolutions in the first place. I'm going to create a little shift in your thinking, get you to start thinking about things just a tad bit differently so that we can make sure that this year is, in fact, one of your absolute best years. And one of the ways that you're going to do that is, number one, you're going to give up on making those regular standard New Year's resolutions. Let those things go. Stop making those same old generic New Year's resolutions that you keep making every single day. Listen, I'm not telling you not to have goals. I'm not telling you to have dreams. I'm not telling you to have a vision. Don't worry, I'm going to address that. What I'm saying is get away from the standard New Year's resolutions that everybody tends to make and everybody tends to break. And the reason why I say everybody, because literally 80-something% of people by the second week in February would have already broken their New Year's resolutions. So we're going to get away from making the same old New Year's resolutions. Why? Because we're going to do something differently so that we can produce some different results. All right. The other reason why we want to be very careful about making those generic type of resolutions is that oftentimes when we use terms like absolutely, when we use terms like every single day, when we use terms like always, that those terms are oftentimes setting us up for failure. So listen, release that thing of saying every single day. Listen, I've done it before when I say, you know what, every single day I'm going to go to the gym. Well, what happens if the gym is closed? What happens if something happens that it is completely out of your control? There are certain things in life that are going to be out of your control. What if the gym shuts down for renovations? And I'm using that example because that happened at my gym. They shut down for 4 days for renovations. And so you physically could not go into the gym. You just could not do it. Well, if I said to myself that I'm going to be there every single day, always, no matter what, guess what? Life doesn't normally operate that way. And so one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to release the absolutes. I want you to release the everydays. So that's why I tell you, are you really going to do that every single day? Really? Like every single day, you're going to go to the gym. Every single day, you're going to do this thing that you've been claiming that you're going to do. Every single day, you're going to do 200 sit-ups and you're going to walk over 10,000 steps. Listen, those are great goals. Those are great things for you to aspire to do, but get away from the lingo of every single day. Get away from that no matter what. Listen, we're dealing with life. Some things are going to happen in life. Some things are going to happen that are completely out of your control. And when those things happen, sometimes you're going to have to make adjustments. And if you get caught up with the whole every single day or no matter what, guess what? Something pops up, you break it, and now you become discouraged because you've already broken your New Year's resolution. And so we want to get away from that. Now, here's one of the other reasons that we want to be very careful about making New Year's resolutions. One of the other issues with New Year's resolutions is most of the time when we're making New Year's resolutions, guess what we focus on? We focus on the negative. And so we start focusing on all the things that we don't want, right? And so what happens is some people for their New Year's resolution, right away, their mind shifts to all the things that they don't want in their life. So if one of the things that they're struggling with is debt, all of a sudden now a lot of their focus goes over to all the debt that's in their life. If one of the things that they really don't like is the fact that they're obese or the fact that they're severely overweight, during their New Year's resolutions, guess what they start doing? They start focusing on the fact that they're all overweight. Now, here's what I want you to understand. When you begin to focus on all the things that you do not want, that's what tends to grow in your life. Listen carefully. Whatever you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. Whatever it is you become locked in on tends to magnify. And so what I want you to do is I want you to get away from saying that I will never, ever eat junk food. Listen, that is a sort of negative perspective. When you say that, all of a sudden now junk food becomes your arch rival. Listen, I've done it before where I said, I am never, ever, ever going to eat another Oreo cookie. And I'm telling you, I go to that grocery store and I promise you, those Oreo cookies start calling my name. All of a sudden now those Oreo cookies are going on sale. All of a sudden they got the little Oreo minis by the cash register. All of a sudden my wife comes home and she gives me some Oreo cookies that were given out at an event that she has. And the more that I focus on it and the more that I try to avoid the negative effects of it, the more that it continues to appear and pop up in my life. And so what I need you to understand is that when you're making those New Year's resolutions and you focus on the negative, when you focus on the negative, that's what tends to magnify. So we want to create a shift in your focus. And what I want you to do is I want you to start focusing on the positive. So in other words, what does that mean? Instead of saying that I would never, ever, ever eat any junk food, then perhaps what you want to do is you want to shift it to saying, you know what, from this point on, I'm going to be very intentional about living a healthy lifestyle. I'm going to be intentional about making healthy lifestyle choices. I'm going to be intentional about making decisions about things that are going into my body and trying to find things that are going to benefit my body as opposed to harm my body. So you want to maintain a positive perspective and a positive outlook on the things that you're looking to make happen in your life. Now, listen, something amazing happens there, because now you can actually look forward to it. You see, the person who is trying to avoid eating junk food is getting up every single day and it's a struggle. It's a fight. Oh man, I got to avoid junk food. I want to eat the pizza, but I can't eat the pizza. I want to have a Whopper, but I can't have the Whopper. I want to have a Big Mac, but I can't have a Big Mac. I want to have a hot dog at the ball game, but I can't have a hot dog at the ball game. And so what happens is there's this whole negative thing, and it's all about restriction, right? But what happens is when you can shift your focus and you can shift your perspective and you focus on the positive, and you start saying to yourself that I live a healthy lifestyle, I make healthy choices, I'm doing things on a daily basis that are positive and that allow me to create the type of body and the type of image that I want, then you get up with a positive perspective. So what I want you to do is start taking your focus from the negative and start shifting your focus to the positive. That's something I want you to do instantly. Now, do me a little quick favor. For those of you right now who are tuned in, do me a little quick favor, because I got some other things to share with you. Go ahead and hit the share button. Hit the share button. And matter of fact, when you're done sharing this, go ahead and put hashtag shared, hashtag shared. That's just your way of letting me know that you're sharing this message, because I know that there's somebody that you're connected to that is going to need to hear this message. There's somebody that has all the intention in the world of making this year a phenomenal year for themselves. But unfortunately, they got caught up in the trap of making the same old New Year's resolutions. And we're going to create a shift and a focus for them so that they can stop falling in the trap of being like everybody else who's making the same old New Year's resolutions and then breaking them by the second week in February. Okay, so go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the share button and then put hashtag shared, hashtag shared. Now, here's the other thing that I need you to get. Hey, what's going on, my man? Jeffrey, I see you. And so here's the other thing I need you to understand, right? We want to shift our focus from just focusing on the negative, right? All the things that we say we can't do. I'm never going to eat junk food again. I'm never going to make this thing happen, because I want you to understand this, that as soon as you do that, you're putting all your focus on the negative, on the restrictions, on the things that you cannot do. Remember what I told you, whatever you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So stop trying to restrict yourself. And oftentimes, guess what? Life puts you in a situation where you say you're never going to do something, and then oftentimes you may end up having to do it. I'll never forget, my wife and I went to Kenya in Africa, and we were on a missions trip. And while we were in Kenya, Africa, we actually went by a particular slaughterhouse. This is my first time. Like, I grew up in the States, had never been to a slaughterhouse, and I went to a slaughterhouse where literally, I'm talking about a slaughterhouse, meaning that they were bringing in cows and literally slaughtering the cows and taking the meat and getting the meat prepared to eventually go out to the local marketplace. And so we were seeing the butchers. I mean, this is kind of stuff you see on TV. Butchers who are in their all white trench coats with their equipment, and then they're walking by us with the beef, with the leg of a cow and the different parts of a cow, and they're taking it over. It was like one of the most visually shocking things to witness. And I remember when my wife and I were there, I looked at my wife and I said this: I will never ever eat beef a day again in my life. I am never ever going to have beef. Now, listen, we joke about this all the time. While we were in Kenya, we finally went someplace to go ahead and get some food. So we were out in the outskirts and we were eating food, and we were eating a lot of stuff that we weren't used to and so forth. And so we finally got back to Nairobi, which is, the capital of Kenya. And we were in an area and so forth. And so we got someplace and I was looking at a menu, and I was looking at all the things on the menu. A lot of things on the menu were either not familiar to me or something that I wasn't really enjoying. And all of a sudden I looked on the menu and they just had a regular burger, a good old fashioned burger, a burger with some tomatoes and lettuce and a bun and some French fries. Now, mind you, 3 days before we were by the slaughterhouse, I was looking at the butchers. I said, I am never, ever going to eat beef again. And do you know something? I ordered that burger, and I tore the burger up, right? And that burger was tasting better than any other burger I ever had before, because I was so hungry and I just wanted something that tastes like home, because I was so far away from home. And so I'm telling you right now, right away, I said I was never, ever going to do something, and I end up doing it. And so what I want you to understand is this: oftentimes when we claim and we say stuff that we're never going to do something, most of the time, we end up breaking down. I'm not saying that there's not an exception. Some people have said, I'm never going to smoke another cigarette. I'm never going to tell another lie. I'm never going to miss another birthday party for my children. But every once in a while, most of the time, when we say never, understand this, we end up breaking that, right? And so we want to be very careful on how we sort of position the wording. And what we want to do is we want to become more effective at literally saying it in a positive mindset. And so we want to be positive and just say, hey, listen, I'm going to be more intentional about making sure I put the right things in my body. Hey, I'm going to make sure I'm more intentional about living a healthy lifestyle. And so we want to frame it in a positive context, so that when we think about it, we're not thinking about it from a negative perspective. I hope you get that. So do me a favor one more time in the comment section, just put hashtag positive, and that's just going to let me know that you're willing to make the shift from thinking about the negative at all time and start focusing on the positive. So we want to be intentional about really focusing on the positive. Now, here's the other thing that I need you to understand. Here's what I want you to understand. A lot of times, one of the reasons why people break their New Year's resolutions, and why I'm saying you want to be careful about making the same old New Year's resolutions and get away from making New Year's resolutions, is because we tend to be focused on the outcome. As a matter of fact, we get more focused on the outcome than we do on the process. Now, here's what I want you to understand. The true growth in life, the real place that success shows up, is in the process. And so what happens is, a lot of times at the beginning of the year, we get so focused on what the outcome is. And so I want you to understand, it's just like the person who says, you know what, this year I am going to go ahead and lose 40 pounds, right? And so within the first 2 months of the year, they say, I'm going to go ahead and lose 40 pounds. And within the first 2 months of the year, instead of losing 40 pounds, they lose 17 pounds. Well, what ends up happening a lot of times is because they're so focused on the outcome. And what they're saying is, I didn't lose the 40 pounds. I only lost 17 pounds. I failed. And so I'm just going to give up on my diet. I'm just going to give up on trying to lose the 40 pounds. And they go right on back to what they were doing. Now, here's what I want you to ask yourself. Is losing 17 pounds, for somebody who is wanting to lose weight, is losing 17 pounds something commendable? Absolutely. Is losing 17 pounds progress for that person trying to lose 40 pounds? Absolutely. Well, then what happens? So many of us, we get caught up on what the outcome is. And because we get so caught up on the outcome, we don't learn to appreciate the process and celebrate when we're actually having and producing results in the process. And so here's what I want you to understand, that this year, if you're looking to have success, what you've got to learn to do is do this. You've got to learn to shift. You've got to shift your perspective from just simply focusing on the outcome. And what I want you to start doing is, I want you to start learning how to focus on the process. Focus on the process. And listen, yes, I understand. You may say, hey, my intention is to make sure that I actually publish my book halfway into the year. But listen, if you get halfway into the year and you have written a significant amount of your book, you have still literally have gotten very far in the process. That is still commendable. And so you may have to go ahead and make some adjustments and so forth so that you can still cross the threshold, so you can cross the finish line, but it's still commendable. You still have grown in the process. You're still making some things happen. You may say to yourself, listen, I'm going to start being intentional about spending more time with my family. And so my game plan is that two times during every single week, I'm going to make sure that there's allocated family time on the weekend. And so listen, if you skip a couple of weekends, don't just throw in the towel and say it didn't work and go right on back to what you were doing. Understand that, listen, you still had some kind of progress. And so what you got to learn to do is appreciate the process, accept the process, and find the growth in the process. That's where all the growth happens. That's where your breakthrough is going to happen. That's where you're going to start making some amazing things happen. And so listen, I want you to do this. I want you to focus on the process and not solely on the outcome. Focus on the process and not solely on the outcome. As a matter of fact, what I need you to do is I need you to value the process. Value the process. Somebody do me a favor right now, and in the comment section, put hashtag value the process. Value the process, because it's one of those things that we got to learn to do. We got to value the process. Understand that everything that is worth doing, everything that you're going to do in this upcoming year, it's going to require that you engage in some type of process. And so you might be saying to yourself, wait a second here. Wait a second, Andy. I'm with you here. You're telling me that I need to go ahead and back up off of these New Year's resolutions. You're telling me, Andy, that according to statistics, that literally 80% of people within the second week of February have already broken their New Year's resolution. I'm going to go even further and tell you that most people don't even make it out of the month of January without breaking the majority of their New Year's resolutions. And so with that being said, then what are you saying, Andy? Are you saying that we don't set goals? Are you saying that we don't have a vision and so forth? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I want you to avoid the pitfalls. And what I want you to do is get away from just making generic resolutions. Remember, a resolution is nothing more than simply making a decision. That's all it is. How many times have you made a decision and didn't necessarily follow through on it? Remember what I told you, a decision without consistent action is setting you up for failure. And one of the reasons why resolutions don't work is because we deal with absolutes. We say things like every single day, I'm going to make sure that I do this always. And life oftentimes is going to throw you a curveball, and you're not going to be able to do it every day or always. And then you already feel like you've broken your resolution. The other thing is, remember what I told you? Can you really do it every day? Probably not always. All right. Are you going to be able to do it no matter what? Not all the time, because life's going to throw you something you didn't think about. Now, here's the other thing. Remember what I told you. Most of the time when we make New Year's resolutions, we're focusing on negative things, the things we don't want in our life. I don't want to be carrying this weight. I don't want to be carrying this debt. And so we think about all the things that we don't like in our lives. And remember what I told you, whatever you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So we want to learn to start focusing on the positive. What do you want to show up in your life? What do you want this year to look like? What do you want to make happen? We want to create a shift. And remember what I told you, you want to focus on the process and not just simply focus on the outcome. And so what are some of the things that I suggest that you do? And so one of the things that I suggest that you do, and I'm going to be honest with you because my wife is the one who got me really big on this. You see, when my wife and we got married, one of the things that she did, and I was sort of chuckling and I was looking inside of her, she sat down at the kitchen counter, she got a whole bunch of magazines, and she created a vision board for our marriage. She created a vision board for our marriage. In other words, she got a magazine. She thought for a moment about all the things that she would like to happen in our marriage. She thought about the fact that she wanted us to travel across the world. She thought about the fact that she wanted us to spend romantic walks on the beach. She thought about the fact that she wanted us to literally stay at really beautiful hotels and go to nice spas. She thought about the fact that she wanted us to start a family. She thought about the fact that she wanted us to be able to do things with the family, like go on trips and vacations and all these things. She thought about the fact that she wanted us to have business together and make great things happen together. And I remember just sort of looking over at her and sort of chuckling, okay, honey, I see you making your vision board. Isn't that real pretty? And let me tell you where I stopped laughing. This is where I stopped laughing. when about 2 years went by in our marriage. And then one day I looked over at the vision board that she created for our marriage. And literally every single thing on the vision board that she did for our marriage, we had literally completed. We had literally done. And so what happened is every single day we were waking up out of our bed, and literally the vision board was on the wall in our bedroom. And every single day she was looking at the vision board, and every day I was looking at the vision board. Now, here's what I didn't realize. Even though I didn't participate in creating that vision board, because of the fact that I was looking at that vision board every single day, that what it was doing is it was cementing in my mind the things that we wanted to do at a subconscious level. And without even realizing it, we were taking steps, tangible action steps to making those things happen. And so one of the things that I want you to realize is that one of the things my wife and I did was this year, we had some couples come over our house. And for all the couples, the married couples, we created vision boards for our marriages. And then the other thing that my wife and I did before the new year, we created individual vision boards. Right behind me is one of my individual vision boards. These were things that I personally want to create in my life for this upcoming year. These are things that I want to appear in my life. These are things that I'm committed to taking action steps to making happen in my life this upcoming year. Now, the power in that is that I had to first think about what the vision was. Here's what I need you to understand. Most people are going to go through the year simply responding and reacting to what life throws at them. They're never going to take the time to actually stop and think for a moment. What is the vision that I have for my life? What is the vision in my business? What is the vision for my marriage? What is the vision for my finances? What is the vision for my health? What is the vision for all the different aspects for my spirituality? What is the vision for every aspect of my life? Here's what I need you to understand, that if you don't take the time to create the vision that you have for your life, ultimately, what's going to end up happening is you're going to go through life and go through this year responding to things that are happening to you. Listen, it's even said, it's biblical, right? It says, without vision, the people shall perish. And so you want to make sure that you have some type of vision. And so I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to take the time to do some type of activity, whether it's a vision board or do something that's going to get you to go ahead and start thinking about what is the vision that you want to start having for yourself in this upcoming year. Now, here's the other thing that I want you to realize. I want you to stop just making blanket statements and blanket resolutions. And what I want you to start doing is I want you to start being intentional about literally start writing down the things that you want to make happen, and then start determining what are the key activities. Listen carefully. What are the key activities that you need to do on a daily basis? What are the key minor activities that you need to do consistently that is going to help you to produce those particular things in your life? So listen, I'm not big on creating New Year's resolutions, but however, there's a big distinction between New Year's resolutions and actually creating tangible goals. So I'll give you a little example. So I remember when I was setting the goal and I had the intention of actually writing my book. So first of all, one of the things that I wrote down is I wrote it down. I did 3 columns on a piece of paper. I need you to get this. I took a piece of paper and I created 3 separate columns. In the first column, I wrote down exactly what I wanted to happen as far as writing the book. And I didn't write it as something that I want to do. I wrote it as if it was already done. That is where the magic is. Listen carefully. I didn't write it as I hope to write the book. I wish to write a book. I'm hoping to write a book. No, I wrote it as if it is already done. I wrote, I am the author of the book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life that is Changing and Impacting Lives. Listen to how I wrote that. I am the author of the book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life that is Impacting and Changing Lives. So I wrote it as if it is already happening. That's the first thing I need you to get. In the second column, listen carefully. Here's what I did. I wrote down the core activities that I needed to do that were going to help me to accomplish the goal. And so in that second column, I wrote down, all right, make sure that on a daily basis, right, understanding that even when I write daily, it may not happen every day, but hopefully on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, that I'm going to make sure that I at least make sure that I'm writing a certain amount of words every single week. So I'm making sure that whether it's in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, that I'm writing some things down that are going to contribute to this particular book. I wrote down some key activities like, hey, find what publisher I'm going to use. Some other key activities, find out who's going to design the book, find out who's going to do the book layout. So every single one of those activities were key activities that I needed to do that were going to move me towards this thing that I declared I was going to do. And in the third column, I wrote down why I needed to do it. And so the reason why I said I needed to write the book, because I knew it was going to change and impact lives, because it was something that I set out that I said that I wanted to do, because the book was going to be a platform and was going to create additional opportunities for me. And so what I need you to understand is I didn't just make a little New Year's resolution. Oh, this year, the New Year's resolution is I'm going to go ahead and just hope to write a book, or I'm going to write a book, right? And so what I did was, I need you to understand what I told you before, simply making resolutions and not making sure that you follow that particular resolution with action is setting you up for failure. And so you got to make sure that you take the time to actually figure out what are the core activities that you are going to do that is going to help you to make sure that you make these things a reality. And so here's what I'm hoping for you. What I'm hoping for you is this, that this year is in fact going to be one of your best years ever. But what I want you to get away from is just making little bogus, generic, same resolutions just for the sake of making resolutions. The same resolutions that literally by the second week in February that a majority of people are going to break. And what I want you to get away from is doing those things that set people up for failure, like dealing in the absolutes and saying that every single day and always, because guess what? Life is going to happen. I want you to be mindful, because here's what I want you to remember is that, listen carefully, I want you to be careful too about when you're making your New Year's resolutions of just focusing on all the negative, the things that you don't want to happen in your life. Because listen carefully, whatever you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. And then finally, here's the last thing that I want you to get, because I told you this before, learn to focus on the process and not simply on the outcome. Listen, progress is progress is progress. And so stop giving yourself a hard time because you didn't exactly get the exact outcome that you wanted, but understand, learn to appreciate the process, because oftentimes that is where the magic is made. And so here's what I'm hoping for you, that this year is going to be a little differently, that you're not going to just go ahead and keep making the same old resolutions that people tend to break, but that you're going to be very intentional about creating the life that you want. I want you to take some time, instead of just sitting down and just doing the resolution, I want you to take some time and start thinking about, what do you want to happen in your life this year? What do you want to show up? And I dare you to take the time to maybe even take the time to even create a vision board. Close yourself up, play some good music, grab one of your favorite warm beverages or cold beverages, sit down, relax with a cup of coffee, sit down, relax with your favorite soda, whatever it is that you have, play some music in the background, get some magazines, create the vision, start thinking about what it is that you want to have. Look at that vision every day and start trying to figure out, what are the core activities? What are the core things that you got to do on a daily basis that's going to bring you closer and closer to those things that you've envisioned and those things that you want to make happen in your life? And I can assure you that by the end of the year, you're going to start looking back and you're going to start realizing that you're knocking those things off one by one, not because it's some kind of task, not because it's laborious, but because of the fact that you've taken the time to create something, to envision something, and you're putting work to the things that you've created and you envision to your mind. And I'm telling you, when you begin to do that, great things begin to happen. And so hopefully you're going to take a little different approach and some great things are going to happen. Listen, I can't wait to hear from you and find out about how some things have shifted and some things have changed for you, and how you have thought about, created, manifested, and started to put in the work and the action so that this year can in fact be your best year ever. And so listen, I can't wait to hear from you and wait to hear about the amazing things that are happening. So once again, thank you so much for joining me on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life Motivational Live Stream. Hey, listen carefully. I know there's a couple of you that may perhaps one of the things that you are hoping to do this year is make sure that you are able to bring in more customers and more clients, that you're able to have a little more impact when you're out there connecting with people, talking about your business, when you are getting in front of an audience, if you're a speaker, if you're a coach. And if that's you, I want to make sure that you're aware of, and I want to make sure that you at least check out my Master Storyteller Academy. So give me a moment here, because I'm going to go ahead and type this and put this on the screen for you. Master Storyteller Academy.com. So I want you to go ahead and look at the screen right now. And if you look on the screen, you're going to see something that's called MasterStorytellerAcademy.com. And so what the Master Storyteller Academy is, it is a 3-day training specifically for people who are speakers, who are coaches, who are authors, and who are service-based business owners who want to have more impact, who want to have more influence, and want to be able to attract the type of customers and the clients that they want. And they understand that an important part of that is being able to share their message, and share it in a way that's compelling, share it in a way that connects with people, and share it in a way that draws people. Notice what I said, attracts people to their products and their services. My next Master Storyteller Academy is literally coming up in about 30 days, and I got about 3 more spots available. If you're interested in learning more about the Master Storyteller Academy, if you know you have a message, if you have a business and you want to get better at promoting the business and being able to share what it is that you do in your business so that you can attract more customers and more clients, you want to head on over to MasterStorytellerAcademy.com. One more time, that is MasterStorytellerAcademy.com. And fill out the very quick application, and somebody on my team is going to make sure that you get scheduled so that we can provide you with all the details to see if you're a good candidate and give you enough information so that you can make a decision as to whether or not you are going to be able to join us for the next Master Storyteller Academy. So I'm hoping that you'll be joining us in sunny South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, for the next Master Storyteller Academy. Hey, listen, one more time. I'm just hoping that you're going to change something this year and stop making generic New Year's resolutions. Don't become another statistic, people who break their New Year's resolutions by the 2nd week in February, and put yourself in position to start creating an extraordinary life and making some great things happen, right? Get away from talking about the absolutes, because oftentimes life is going to hit you with something that you didn't anticipate. Stop focusing on all the negative things, the things that you don't want in your life, right? Because when we focus on those things, that's what tends to show up. And learn to focus more on the process rather than just simply on the outcome, because we sell ourselves short. Sometimes we don't get the exact outcome that we have, but the process, we learn so much, right? And in the process, we're still progressing. And so don't get away from that. Don't lose sight of that, okay? And so if you can learn to do those things, this year will in fact be a different year for you. So I want to thank you one more time for tuning in. Do me a quick favor, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the share button, because I know there's somebody you're connected to that can benefit from being a part or listening to this particular message. Once again, this has been Andy Henriquez. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. You can tune in same time, same place next week, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.